Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another Monday This and That video where I answer questions that have come in the last week, let you know of projects that are going on, make important announcements that I need to keep up to date since the rest of my videos through the week have been shot anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks prior, so this is the one time a week I get to keep you a little more updated to the current time. So let's get to the topics of today, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is that Rain Country quilt collaboration. So you'll see I have a nice little pile of quilt squares here. These were all made by my followers, and so lots of really beautiful squares here of all varying designs and colors, and this one even has a picture of me on it. This was a collaboration I've been trying to pull together for, what's it going on, like a couple of years now maybe? Because it took a while to get enough squares to get for the actual quilt. Then I had the knee injury, so I needed to take a break from any in-depth sewing, which now that's all better, so it's time to get started. Well, and then it was also remembering, oh yes, the quilt, I got to get started on the quilt, and then working it around my busy schedule. So maybe even as early as tonight, I'll be starting to lay out the pieces and map them out where I want each one to go, and then get sewing on it. So usually how these things go for me is once I get going on it, I can work on it pretty fast. But it's also going to depend on my schedule and trying to work around, you know, shooting videos, editing videos, watching grandbabies, and all my other chores. So anyway, I just wanted to let everybody know I'm finally going to get started on this. So again, thank you to everyone who sent in their submissions. So very, very beautiful. I think it'll be a very fun, cool quilt. And then I'll take a picture of it when I'm all done, and we'll display it in one of my future This and That videos. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the soaps. So a lot of you know I do make my own soaps. I still make my own bar soaps, which can also be used to make shampoos and liquids, hand soaps, and I have videos on all that. However, before I even started making my own soaps, I was stocking up on Dr. Bronner's liquid soap because I really liked it. I would use it for my shampoo, I'd use it for a lot of different things. But then a few years back, I discovered Dr. Jacobs and thought I'd give them a try because they had a package of it on Costco.com. And I'm like, I'm going to give that a try just for something different. And I liked it so much that I contacted the company, then found out how many more different varieties they had of their soap, and then asked if I could be an affiliate with them, which they agreed to, and I love them so much. I like Dr. Jacobs soaps much better than Dr. Bronner's. It is all natural Castile soap, and even though I do love my own homemade bar soap, when it comes to a liquid soap, I do really like using Dr. Jacobs. Well, I'm sharing this because they just recently came out with a new line. Their regular soap they still carry, and it's basically a multi-purpose soap. Now, I'm going to link to the video I did on that and all its many uses and the different ways you can dilute it for its different applications. So if you want to learn more how to use it, my ratios in there should be pretty helpful, you know, using it as a hand soap and a foaming dispenser and so on. But this new line they came out with is more in particular for people who have very sensitive skin, dry skin, or other issues like psoriasis and eczema. And so they wanted me to try some out. So they sent me several bottles. They sent me the largest one, the one I was most interested in. So these three here are the African black soaps, and already just using each one once, I love them. Today I actually washed my hair in this one. So this is called Sensual Manoi, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know, but it smells amazing. It has a more tropical smell to it if you're not familiar with it. I hadn't heard of that before, but I recognize the aroma and I love it. So I did actually wash my hair with that today. And then today I also washed my face with the Lavender Clary Sage. I didn't think I was going to like this just by the name of it, but I absolutely love the aroma of this one as well. So these two are now my two favorites. I still really like the shea butter and the sandalwood and the almond honey. Those are my other three favorites, but I think these ones right now at the top of the list, at least as far as personal care goes. So for my face and for my hair, you know, and a body wash, I'm loving these. But you still will want to dilute them a little bit when you go to use them, especially for washing your hair with. And so I do recommend you check out my video I'll be linking to down below. And then I'll also give you an update down the road after I've used them for a little bit longer to let you know what I think. But then the other one they have here is Pure Castile Eczema Relief. So this is going to be an unscented, and this is all a pure and natural soap. And if you're interested, my link is always in the description box, and you can get, I think it's 10% off your order if you go through that link. They also have some natural cleaning products as well, even though you can make some great cleaning products just from this. By using the proper dilution, you can even clean windows with it, with their, at least their original one that they had, the multi-purpose. And so I cover that in that video as well. But they do have some other types of cleaners, like something you can use to clean your fruits and vegetables off with, and a multi-purpose natural spray cleaner. Now, moving on to the next topic, which was oxalates. It was in a video that came out this last week where I was mentioning turmeric. Even though it's not my favorite herb to use, mostly because of the color, I do use it in various things. I have on occasion made golden milk. I do sometimes add a little bit to my seasoned salt blend, which I'll link to that recipe down below, and the golden milk recipe, and a few other things I'm not thinking of, but it's one of those herbs that comes up a lot in my herbs and more for ... series, where I might be talking about diabetes or high cholesterol or skin health or whatever. And turmeric is one of the ones that comes up most frequently. So what happened was, first time I've ever even heard this, several people in the last two videos, because one was the honey infused garlic, and then whatever the other one was, I think it was last week's this and that. And people are, you know, freaking out about how turmeric is high in oxalates. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't let that kind of thing scare me, because all of your plants have oxalates in them. Some are higher than others. And when I first started looking into it, I must have looked at minimum of 10 to 12 different websites that had compiled foods with the highest amount of oxalates. And turmeric was not in a single one of them. And then finally this morning, I got to looking again, and especially looking specifically on turmeric, trying to find what's the actual amounts in turmeric. And that was where I did come across a couple of sites that mentioned turmeric was high in oxalates. However, first of all, the amount of turmeric that you're using in comparison to the amount of maybe spinach or kale that you're going to eat are very minuscule. And so with that in mind, even if you consider it a high oxalate food, you're not eating that much of it at a time. Some other things to know are that if you're a healthy person, you don't have any digestive issues, you're not prone to kidney stones, this is absolutely nothing to worry about. Also, by cooking any of your high oxalate foods, you can actually really reduce the amount of oxalates that are in that food by doing that. Of course, you'll lose some of your vitamins, but you'll still retain a lot of your minerals. And another thing is, a lot of times the foods that are high in oxalates are also high in the very minerals that you need to make up the difference, because oxalates can bind with certain minerals and carry them out of the body. But if you're eating the foods that are already high in these minerals, it's not an issue. So there's so many things to consider that for most people, it should not even be one bit of concern. But if it is a concern because of certain digestive issues, like some people can't have gluten, I understand. There are real situations out there where you have to avoid as much as possible certain things. Or some people can't have dairy, and it's all has related to our various gut health due to things that we were exposed to through our lives, injections we may have received as children, and much more. And all these things take a toll on our gut health, which can then cause issues with certain foods we eat that would normally not be a problem. But just remember, if it is something you have to concern yourself with, and you want the benefits of turmeric, you can simply get curcumin capsules, because curcumin is that active compound in turmeric that gives it all its many health benefits. But when isolated like that, it does not have the oxalates. So you don't have to worry about it. Or simply cook your food. Just cook it. You don't Don't eat your spinach raw, and so on and so forth. Cook those foods, and then it should not be anything to worry about. What it really comes down to is I see so much fear mongering again and again and again. And at least once a month, once every couple of months, some new thing will crop up and everybody starts freaking out about it. And, oh, you can't eat this. Oh, we got to all stop eating vegetables because of oxalates. We got to all stop eating meat. We got to all stop eating dairy. We got to all stop eating grains. We got to all stop drinking water because, you know, there's poisons in the city water. There's poisons in the rainwater. There's poisons here. There's poisons there. You know, if we stopped eating and drinking everything people told us to stop eating and drinking, we'd all die, okay? It's a matter of just being smart. If we're eating a good, whole, well-rounded diet of organic, healthy foods, healthy raised animals, and so on, we shouldn't have anything to worry about, and we shouldn't have to even supplement with anything. So anyway, supplementation does have its place, and we do use it from time to time, usually focusing more on specific herbs and sometimes on specific nutrients that we may need for a certain time frame, such as vitamin C or B complex, or even vitamin D if we really need it. By the way, I recommend you go back and watch the video I'll link to down below on the vilification of natural foods and medicines, because it's getting worse every day. So I'll link to that video down below. Please go check it out. A couple more questions. Somebody was asking last week, I was talking about wood stoves, and somebody was saying, you know, because I hang our laundry in front of our wood stove to dry, was like, well, wouldn't that cause more moisture in the air, thus causing more mold and things like that in your closets? And it's actually no, because even though we already live in a pretty humid climate, because we get a lot of rain, one of the blessings of having wood heat is that it does keep things much drier and less likely to mold because of that. However, it can be so drying that when we first moved into this place, and we're burning fires all the time, I was constantly getting nosebleeds from the dry air. So this is before I started hanging the laundry to dry inside the house, and constantly getting nosebleeds. So I learned I needed to keep an open kettle of water all the time on the wood stove to add moisture to the air so that I wouldn't get these constant nosebleeds. But then when I started hanging the laundry to dry and Patrick put me up 2 clotheslines right in front of the wood stove, I didn't have to constantly keep an open kettle of water on the stove. So yeah, so if you're just wondering about that, no, it's not a concern, because wood heat actually is very drying, and you usually have to find a way to make up the difference the other way around. So yeah, just a little tip there. Another thing I wanted to approach real quickly was the homeschooling video that came out where I said, can you homeschool in 2 hours a day or less? Sometimes it will take more, sometimes it will take less. It's all going to depend on the child. If you're interested in homeschooling, please go check that video out. Well, I'll link to it down below. But a couple of people were all like, please check with your state laws that require X amount of hours per day. Well, ours does too. We're in Washington State. Ours did too. This is how many hours you're supposed to have per week, per year. But you know what? You don't have to worry about that. It's nothing to freak out about. The whole idea, by the way, of homeschooling is that you are setting up your own itinerary, your own method, and you don't have to fit into the school's program. And schooling, as I noted in that video, is more than just the 1, 2, even 3 hours of sitting down and instructing them. Do you think they really get that many hours in the public school system of actual real instruction on the things that matter? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's so much time wasted on many other things that don't matter. Even just like somebody mentioned, the lining up to go here and everybody sitting down over there, and then going out to recess and so on and so forth. But when we homeschooled our boys, here's one thing I don't think I said, is we homeschooled all through the year. We homeschooled through all the holidays. We homeschooled through the summer. The only time we took time off was up to 2 weeks at most in the middle of summer, when we would go to the family reunions. And, we'd make a trip of it and go visit all different family. And then we have the big family reunion. Usually it was just a week, and that was the only time that the kids were not required to do any schoolwork at all. But regardless, even on those days, even while on vacation, they're still learning stuff. And this is what people fail to understand, is that learning, education is something that happens all the time in the things that you're doing. When your kids are helping you in the kitchen to make something, or helping dad out in the shop, or helping out in the garden, or helping with the animals, or going to the store and pricing out, doing price comparisons, and so many other things. They're constantly learning. They're learning skills. They're learning common sense. You know, these things that aren't usually taught in school anymore. They're learning so many things all the time. So I counted all those hours. And then the last thing I want to bring up real quickly is the icing. So some of you might have seen the short that I did. And I showed a few different things. And it's just one example, one recipe of an icing. It's one of my favorite ones to use when I make cinnamon rolls. And I just made cinnamon rolls for the first time in a long time. And I was going to do something different, like maybe strawberry or raspberry, but I fell back on the orange vanilla icing because it's our favorite. And anyway, somebody brought up, well, you don't need all that. You can just use orange juice. And yes, you can. I've done that before. However, orange juice isn't something we always have on hand. In fact, sometimes we'll go for a long time without ever having any orange juice on hand. But one thing I always have on hand is my homemade orange extract made out of organic oranges, my homemade vanilla extract, and my homemade orange peel powder made from organic peels I took off oranges, and just one of the many things I do with those peels to make the most out of the oranges or tangerines or mandarins, whichever one that we're buying. But those are things I always have on hand. I don't always have orange juice. And then I do still like to add a little bit of that orange oil in there, a few drops, just to really intensify that flavor, but totally optional. And by the way, the powdered sugar was organic and homemade. I have a video on that as well. And I have so many other options. So there's no one right way to do things. If it's easier for you to just add some butter and some orange juice because you have the orange juice on hand, do it that way. Do it however you want. I was just showing people one example. But with that said, one of the reasons I made the cinnamon rolls is that I'm doing a new basic yeast bread recipe where I cover all the many things I use it for. It's my basic recipe. It's my own. And I actually took time to sit down and write it all out, including the recipe for the icing and a little bit more information on the cinnamon roll. So I'll be showing some of that in that video and a few other things. I use it for pizza crust. I use it for dinner rolls. So I'll be covering all that, and I'll be shooting that real soon. So that'll be out in probably about a month-ish because, that's how far ahead I am on all those videos. So be watching for that video if you want to learn more. I do have an old video out, but it's just one of those that's so old I really wanted to redo it with more information, better lighting, and sound. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my this and that for the week. Any thoughts, ideas you'd like to share, please put them in comments down below. And don't forget to check out those links I'll be putting in the description box down below. Somewhere down here, you'll see the word more. If you're on Rumble, especially on your phone, you might see an ad just below the screen. Just scroll down past that ad, but above the comment section, you'll find the word more or show more. Click on that, and you'll open the description box to find all the information I'll be putting in there. So, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.